These two are right in the hunt. Well, I think we should call legend of the sport in Tomas Adamek. And he has a big spring in his step, and he truly believes that he can beat Jarrell Miller on October the 6th.
You know, Tomas Adamek is a legend.
Tomas Adamek, great fighter, going to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, there it is. That's the high-level sales pitch they're ramming down our throats to try sell a fight between Jarrell Miller and Tomas Adamek on October the 6th in Chicago on the first show the DAZN streaming service is staging on American soil. The first of 16 American fight nights that will be held over the course of the next year. And in that press conference to announce the Worlds Collide card, you can clearly see that they've tried to carefully position Adamek as a legend of the sport. Someone who's right in contention, is right there with Miller, is going to give him some work, all he can handle. Whereas the reality is, 41-year-old Adamek, he hasn't been a serious factor in the heavyweight division for 5 or more years. And the fact is, he did his best work at cruiserweight and light heavyweight, picking up straps in both those weight classes. Adamek's best win, if you go have a look at his record, it may actually be against Chris Arreola way back in 2012. Many of the rest of his wins at the weight class, at heavyweight that is, are either against former faded contenders like an Andrew Gallotta, for example, or against high-level journeymen. You know, guys that are decent, but they're certainly right on the fringe of being contenders. And of course, you know, he did have a failed title challenge against Vitaly Klitschko 7 years ago. It's fair to say I am not a fan of this fight at all between Adamek and Miller. It's a complete mismatch. However they want to cut it, it's a complete mismatch. It's more crap from Jarrell Miller. And I get that they're trying to appeal to the large Polish community in Chicago, but this is not the sort of fight that Jarrell Miller needs to be in at this stage of his career. I'm not going to go as far as saying it's a complete joke, but it's certainly a backward step for Miller, and it hurts his credibility. It really does. It shows again that now he's in the mix for a world title. He's going to sit on his haunches, look for the safest and softest route to a title. And at the presser, Eddie Hearn, he was talking up the fact that Miller was in the top 10 of every sanctioning body. And you'll see in the clip later on that that's just a complete lie. It's just not true. Miller is not in the IBF. He is not in the WBC. And why is he not in the IBF? Well, he wouldn't face Kubrat Pulev, an actual contender. So, and he's not in the WBC because he won't sign up to the clean boxing program. So not only are they talking up Miller in terms of his credentials, they're also talking up Adamek in terms of he's a legend. So what I'll do now, I'm going to get to some of the statements from the presser, starting with Eddie Hearn, and then I'm going to be giving some thoughts along the way, because it's time to just sort of bust a few of these things.
And these two are right in the hunt, particularly Jarrell Miller. He's been there now. He's had a couple of big wins. He's working with us moving forward, and delighted to be working with Dimitri and Greg Cohen as well. This is a young man that can really fight. He can really talk as well, which you'll find out soon, but that's all good for boxing. But he's come up against a very stubborn, well, I think we should call legend of the sport in Tomas Adamek. And this city has been very special to Tomas Adamek over the years. He's had some huge nights in Chicago, and he has a big spring in his step, and he truly believes that he can beat Jarrell Miller on October the 6th.
Hearn is right. Miller is in the hunt. Adamek is not, but Miller is in the hunt. But that's why it's so disappointing to see Miller taking on Adamek. I would feel differently if this were one of Miller's step-up fights from a year or so ago. But it's not. He's reached the level and he's plateaued. He's on the cusp of a title, and now he is going to be facing a guy who hasn't been relevant for years. And you heard Eddie Hearn talking up Miller's big wins, as he put it. So Miller's got recent wins over Gerald Washington, Marius Wok, and Johan Dorper. All were good wins, but none were massive statements that sent shockwaves through the division. Okay, now let's jump to Miller's promoter, Dimitri Salita.
You know, Tomas Adamek is a legend, and to be so successful at this level, you have to be special. You have to be special physically and mentally, and Tomas is that. He's been competing at heavyweight, I think, for about 9 years, and lost to Vitaly Klitschko, but beat some top guys. But, you know, we feel that Jarrell Miller is the best heavyweight in the world, and no matter if it's Tomas Adamek, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, he's going to take care of business on October 6th. So we're very excited about this opportunity. Thank you to Matchroom. Thank you to DAZN. Thank you to this beautiful arena. And as Jarrell will say, there's quite a large Belize community in Chicago, from what I understand. So there's probably going to be a lot of Polish people, but I'm sure there's going to be some Belize folks as well hyping us on. And I know that many Brooklynites are going to make the trip to support Big Baby Miller.
Key thing that I took from that is they clearly believe, well, they're stating Miller is the best in the world, who beats the best in the world, with Joshua and Wilder referred to by name. Yet then they're setting up this dross between Miller and Adamek. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, and if Miller beats Adamek, well, so what? He is so heavily favoured to do so, it won't prove anything, and it certainly won't tell us if he's ready for Joshua or Wilder. He would actually need to take on and beat a relatively good contender, someone who's still relevant, to really actually tell us where he's at, because we don't know. And this Adamek fight will not tell us that. Miller's other promoter, Greg Cohen, he also weighed in on the fight.
Jarrell, Dimitri, myself, we've been working with Eddie for the last couple of fights. You know, this is a great opportunity for Jarrell to take the next step toward becoming heavyweight champion. Tomas Adamek, great fighter, going to be a Hall of Famer. You know, unfortunately, he has to fight Jarrell on October 6th, but we're looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to Jarrell doing his thing, and again, getting one step closer to the heavyweight championship.
This talk of taking the next step, complete fallacy. With this fight, Miller is just treading water. He's backpedaling. And regardless of the result, it's unlikely to win over the doubters because it's a mismatch, plain and simple. And Miller, he also took to the stage and, excused him for his mega corny joke.
At the current ranked top 10 with every governing body, the undefeated Jarrell Big Baby Miller.
First, I want to shout out to Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, and Calzone. DAZN. I'm thinking about pizza right now. My bad. Adamek made me kind of hungry when he called me the boy. You know, he is a legend, but when you find a young stud like me, boy, sometimes parents need to get their butt whooped. You know, so this is gonna be one of those fights when the young man gonna take it to pops. You know what I mean? Put him on some crutches real quick. Adamek wasn't the original person who was to fight, but he stepped up in the blink of an eye to fight a young guy like me. So, take my hat off to him. But bring the ambulance, because it's going to be early night. And I'm not trying to spend an extra round in that ring. I went 12 my last fight against Johan Duhapis, who was a tough French guy. And you know what we did to him? We cooked that French fry. So coming October 6th, we're going to put in this work.
Miller was right. This should be a fight where the young man takes it to pops, as he put it, and put him on some crutches. As a subscriber of mine, Adam Fahey, likes to say of Jarrell Miller, Miller should be nicknamed the Pension Slayer. And that's because he likes to take on faded European fighters that once fought for a title but are well past their best, have seen better days, and they're well on the downslide of their career. That is Miller's type at this point in his career. He's going for 3 in a row on that now, so Wok, Duhapis, and Adamek. It's not a good look. And Miller says bring the ambulance, it's going to be an early night, and he won't spend any extra rounds in that ring. And for Miller's sake, well, he better get Adamek out of there quickly, because if he labours to a win, or even Adamek is takes him to points, Miller's reputation will take a hit. Perhaps a bigger hit than it already has for taking this fight. This is not a good fight, and Miller should really give himself an uppercut, because he shouldn't have taken on this opponent for this fight. He really needs to do better, face better, if he wants to win us over and actually prove he's ready for a title and that he is one of the best in the world, because facing Tomas Adamek doesn't mean you are number 1 in the world or that you even deserve to be in the conversation. The fact that he's avoiding anyone with a pulse, well, that's a pretty bad look and speaks volumes. Give yourself an uppercut, Jarrell. And Adamek himself, well, he's doing what any fighter in his position would do. He's talking it up.
October 6th is my day. I'll be best. Monday we start camp. I want to say good luck for my opponent. I'm respect him. He's a good boy, young boy, but I'm older and smarter. We'll see who is the better October 6th.
Okay, I'm not going to dwell on this any longer because Jarrell Miller, he really should have taken on someone better. And Eddie Hearn, well, he deserves a bit of blame in this as well because it's a ridiculous fight. Shouldn't be happening. It's a mismatch. But, you know, if they want to really push fans away, just keep putting on dross like this. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.